Hello everyone, welcome to PowerPoint. Today we're going to be working on lesson 3, which is all about working with text. So in this lesson we will learn how to format characters, formatting lists, inserting and formatting word art, creating and formatting text boxes, and using proofing tools. So my favorite part is working with word art. So the first step it says we're going to be choosing fonts and font sizes. So launch PowerPoint if it's not already running, and then locate and open sales pipeline. So I'm going to go to my data files, and let's first go to our Infotech PowerPoint folder, data files, lesson 3, and we're going to find sales pipeline. Okay, I'm going to move that over here. It tells me to save it as, gotta hit enable editing first, move it back over here. File, save as, in my lesson 3 folder, sales pipeline formats. Okay. And I'm going to make that full screen. Okay. Tells me to go to slide 2. And in the first row of the table, we're going to double click timing. Okay, the mini toolbar appears when we double click above the selected text. It tells me to click on the font. Drop down arrow and a list of fonts appears. It says to scroll down and click on Berlin Sans FB Demi. PowerPoint applies the chosen font to the selected text. Next, it tells me to click the font drop down arrow, and we're going to change our font size to 32 points. Next, it tells us to double click probability in the top right of the table, and on the home tab in the font drop down list we're also going to choose Berlin Sans Demi. It should appear in your recently used list. We're going to click the font size drop down arrow, and we're going to choose 32 points font. Alright. Tells us to click away from the selected text. To deselect it, your slide should look like the one in figure 3-3. Tells us to click save to save our presentation. We have a take note here that says to maintain formatting consistency between slides and a presentation, you might prefer to change the font and font size of the master slide, which flows down to change to all slides automatically. Okay, so we'll talk more about master slides later on, but you can change your master slide by going to the View tab and choosing Master Slide here, and then you could go through and change all of that. Alright, on slide 3, now I'm stuck in this. Slide Master. I'm going to close out of Slide Master View. Okay. On slide 3, it tells us to type the following additional bullet points at the bottom of the slide. So I'm going to click right here at the end of my third bullet and press enter. And we'll type in helps engineering staff do long range planning for future product enhancements. Okay, and then provides marketing staff with critical data about customer needs and preferences. Okay, Notice that there aren't any periods at the end of these bullet points. Bullet points aren't necessarily meant to be full sentences. As you begin to type the second bullet point, AutoFit should have engaged and made the text in the text box smaller so it will all continue to fit. We're going to click the AutoFit icon in the lower left corner of the text box, which is right here. Alright, and a menu appears. It tells us to click the Stop Fitting Text to this placeholder. The text returns to its default size and overflows the bottom of the text box, as you can see down here. It says, notice the other choices in figure 3-4. You can choose to split text between two slides, continue on a new slide, or change to a two-column layout. We're going to click the AutoFit icon again and click the AutoFit text to placeholder. So make sure that this is selected again. It just makes our slide look a little bit neater, and then we're going to save our presentation. Okay, it says to pause, leave the presentation open to use in the next exercise. Next, we're going to be applying font styles and effects. We're using the same document, and it tells us to click on slide 2. We're going to double click timing again at the top. A mini toolbar should appear, and we're going to click on the italic button in the mini toolbar. PowerPoint formats the selected text to italics. Then it tells us to double click probability, and using the same method we're going to italicize. Step 4 says to double click timing in the top left cell of the table, and click the dialog box launcher in the font group of the ribbon to open the font dialog box. In the font dialog box, on the font tab, we're going to click to mark the small caps checkbox. And we're going to click on the character spacing tab. It says click the spacing drop down arrow, and we're going to change it to expanded in the list, and then click OK. Says that PowerPoint places 1 point of space between the letters and applies the small caps effect. Let's retry that. Font drop down arrow, small caps, and then character spacing expanded. Try that one more time because mine didn't really work out very well. Okay, so that should look like this when you are done. Okay, next it tells us to double click probability in the top right cell of the table, and on the quick access toolbar we're going to click the repeat button, which is this circle. Okay, it says PowerPoint repeats the last command you issued, applying the new character spacing to the selected text. Click away from the text to deselect it, and your slide should now look like the one shown in figure 3-6. Okay, it tells us to save our presentation. Next, we're going to be changing the font color. So we're still on slide 2. It tells us to double click timing in the top left cell of the table. The mini toolbar appears above the selected text. Okay, we're going to choose font color this time. And it tells us to, in the first row, the theme colors, choose orange accent 6. Okay, it says when you hover the mouse pointer over a color box, the color's name appears on a screen tip, if you don't already know that. Double click probability in the top right cell of the table, and on the home tab on the ribbon, click font color, drop down, and apply orange accent accent 6 as well to probability. Your slide should resemble figure 3-8 when you are finished. We'll go ahead and hit save. Click away from that. Next, we're going to be copying character formats with the Format Painter. So on slide 2, it tells us to select the text in the title placeholder, which would be up here. And we're going to change the font color to blue, accent 1, darker 25%. Which I believe is this one right here. So make sure you see that screen tip that says blue, accent 1, darker 25%. And we're going to click bold to the font style. It also tells us to click the text shadow button, which is right here, to apply a shadow font style. With the text still selected, we're going to click the Format Painter, and then it tells us to go to slide 3, and we're going to click the word assessment. Alright, so next it tells us to click the Format Painter button again, and we're going to copy the formatting that's now applied to assessment. And it says to drag across the word critical, releasing the mouse button when the word is selected. The formatting is painted onto that word. Next, it tells us to double click the formatting or Format Painter button. Okay, we want to make sure that it will stay on. Double clicking it makes the feature stay on until you turn it off. It says go to each of the remaining slides in the presentation and drag across all of the text in the title of each slide, including the title on the first slide. So we're going to it didn't stay on. I'm gonna just make sure I double click. Okay, let's try this again. Yeah. Okay, so next I'm going to just go through each of the title slides. Okay, so I just double click. And drag across each of these, making sure that they all change to that blue. The Format Painter applies the new formatting to the text. When you are finished painting each slide title, press the Escape key, or you can click the Format Painter button again to turn it off. So now that it's not gray, I know that it's off. We're going to go ahead and save, and then it tells us to close the presentation. But we're going to leave PowerPoint open to use in the next exercise. Okay. Alright, so next we're going to open up leveraging corporate cash presentation from your data files. So we'll go to our data files under lesson 3, and we'll look up leveraging corporate cash. Enable editing, and then we'll go ahead and save it. Okay. Inside our lesson 3, we're going to just add the word lists at the end. Let's go ahead and hit save. It says that on slide 2, we're going to click the first line of the text in the placeholder. So just click inside this first line. And we're going to click the numbering button in the paragraph group. PowerPoint formats the sentence with a number 1. says select the last 3 lists, lines in the placeholder. We're going to click numbering again, and 2 through 4 should be added. It says click outside the text placeholder to clear any text selection. Your slide should look like the one shown in figure 3-10. Step 7 says to click in the text placeholder containing the number list and press Ctrl A to select the entire list. We're going to click the down arrow to the right of the numbered list button, and we're going to open the gallery of numbering options. It tells us to click the uppercase Roman numeral style. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and save the presentation. It says pause, leave the presentation open to use in the next exercise. So on slide 3, we're going to select all of the bulleted list items. Whoops. In the text box. To do this, you can either drag across them or press Ctrl A. I like to use Ctrl A. It says to click the drop down arrow to the right of the bullets, and it displays a gallery of bulleted items. It says take note in a series of paragraphs. If a series of paragraphs does not have bullets, you can add them by selecting the paragraphs and then clicking the bullets button in the paragraph group. It says we're going to click the check marks option. PowerPoint applies bullet styles to the selected paragraphs. If you hover the mouse over a certain bullet style on the list, the selected text on the slide is previewed using that bulleted list. So if I hover my mouse over the top, it gives you an idea of what it will look like. With the text still selected, we're going to click the bullets drop-down list, and we're going to click bullets and numbering. The bullets and numbering dialog box appears, and in the size box, we're going to type 80. This reduces the bullet size to 80% of the text size. We're going to click the drop-down arrow for color. We're going to choose blue accent 1, which is this one. And it changes the color of the bullets. We're going to click OK. And we're going to save our PowerPoint slide, and we're going to close it. Alright. It says leave PowerPoint open for the next exercise. We're going to be using Word Art next, and it tells us to open out of our browse. We'll go to our student data files, and we'll open the full profit potential presentation. Okay, enable your editing, and then we'll save it as, in our lesson 3 folder, as full profit. Okay. It says notice that the first slide has a subtitle but no title placeholder. We're going to click the Insert tab of the ribbon, and we're going to click Word Art to display a gallery of Word Art styles. It says to click the Gradient Fill Gold Accent 5. Let me see, what does it kind of look like? It's basically this one. Ours says it's Gold Accent 1. In the book, it calls it Gold Accent 5. We'll just use this option right here. It says that PowerPoint displays the Word Art graphic with the sample text, your text here. We're going to type full profit in the box to replace the sample text, and your slide should resemble figure 3-14. Okay, we're going to save the presentation, and then it says pause and leave the presentation open to use in the next exercise. Get ready, we're going to use full profit presentation that is still open, and it tells us to go to slide 2. This time we're going to be formatting text with word art styles. So we're going to select the slide title, On Time Delivery, and we're going to zoom in to 100% on the selected text. Okay, so you can see the effects more clearly that you apply. We're going to click on the Drawing Tools Format tab, and we're going to click the More button in the Word Art Styles group. I believe that's this one. Okay, and we're going to choose Pattern Fill Purple Accent 1, 50%. Hard Shadow. Okay, so I think that's this one right here. Which basically, if you zoom in, kind of gives it this like dotted effect, which is kind of interesting. On the Home tab in the Font group, we're going to open the Font Size drop-down arrow. So make sure that this is still selected. And we're going to change it to 60 points. Click outside the text placeholder to clear its border. The title should look like the one in figure 3-16, which ours does. Tells us to save and close the full profit presentation. Okay. Next, we're going to be creating and formatting text boxes. So it says to save the file as Profit Analysis Boxes 1. So we gotta open up Profit Analysis. Browse. Student Data Files, Lesson 3. Here's Profit Analysis. Enable editing. Let's go to Save As. And in our Lesson 3 folder, we're going to name it Profit Analysis Boxes 1. Okay, I'm going to re-size this here. Okay, so it says if the rulers do not appear on the View tab, we're going to click to mark the ruler checkbox so that the ruler appears around the slide. We're going to go to slide 1, and on the Insert tab, we're going to click Text Box in the text box group, and the cursor changes to a text insertion pointer. You'll see this little pointer. It looks a little different than a normal insertion. It says move the pointer to the right of the slide below the red dot. Let's see. And at the 3, you can kind of see up here, it says 3 3¼ inch mark. So it's about, if I look up here at my ruler, if you can see it moving across the top, I want it to be halfway between the 3½ and the 3-inch mark. That's 3¼ We're going to click down and hold the mouse button and drag the mouse to the right to create a rectangle that is 3 inches wide. So about to there. Okay. It says release the mouse button. The rectangle changes to a text box. We're going to type 4th coffee in the text box, and we're going to select the text 4th coffee, and we'll change our font size to 28 points using the drop down list. And it says to center the text box below the red dot as much as possible. Okay, so I'm going to put it about like that. Okay. Click outside the checkbox to clear its border. Your slide should look like the one shown in figure 317. Okay, so on slide 2, we're going to click the text box button on the Insert tab, which is right here. And we're going to drag to draw a new text box under the divisional breakdown heading, approximately 6 inches in width. Use the red guidelines to align the text box with the left of the heading. Alright, so about right there. Okay. So about 6 inches in length, and be about right here. Okay. Okay. Then it says we're gonna click in the text, and we're gonna type the following items, placing each item on its own line. So we'll type sales, marketing, purchasing, production, distribution, custom, service, human resources. Whoops, I forgot the U. Human resources. Product development, information technology, and administration. Position your mouse pointer over the center right handle on the text box frame and click and the pointer becomes a plus sign. So position your mouse pointer over the center right handle of the text box frame. The pointer becomes a plus sign. And it says resize the box so its border is closer to the text. Okay, so about like that. Okay. It says to save the presentation and pause and leave the presentation open to use in the next exercise. Next, we're going to apply a quick style to the text box. It says go to slide 1, click the fourth copy text box that we needed or we made earlier, and on the Home tab, click the Quick Styles button to display a gallery of quick styles. We're going to select Intense Effect, Gray 50% Accent 5. Let's see, Intense Effect. Okay, I'm thinking Intense Effect, Gray 50% Accent 5 is this one right here. Okay, the next to last thumbnail in the last row. Alright. So added this cool effect to the background. We're going to go ahead and save the presentation. It says pause, leave the presentation open to use in the next exercise. Next, we're going to apply fill and border formatting to the text box. So we're going to go to slide 2. Okay, it says click inside the text box. PowerPoint displays a text box border and sizing handles. On the Drawing Tools Format tab, click Shape Fill, drop down arrow, and the theme colors palette for the text box fill color appears. We're going to click Tan Background 2, I think this is tan, darker 25%, which is this one right here. PowerPoint formats the text box fill with this color. Okay, it should look like that, which ours indeed does. And next it says to click the Shape Outlines drop-down arrow. The theme color palette for the text box border color appears. We're going to now choose orange, which would be, I think, this one. Accent one, darker 25%, which I think is this one. Okay, so that would be that one right here. It says click the shape down arrow again, and we're going to hover over the weight pointer, and we're going to change it to 3 points. You can change the style of a text box outline from solid to dashed or dotted by selecting the dashes option from the Shape Outlines drop-down menu. It says to go ahead and click Save the Presentation. Get ready, we're still using the same presentation. Tells us to click on slide 2 and select the text box containing the list of divisions. Okay. On the drawing tools format, we're going to click the Shapes Fill drop-down arrow, this time clicking on Picture. The Insert Picture dialog box appears, and we're going to choose Browse. And we need to navigate to our folder that has our picture saved in it. So go to your Infotech, PowerPoint folder, Student Data Files, Lesson 3, and we're going to choose the golden JPEG file out of our Student Data Files. Click Insert. The Insert Picture dialog box closes, and the picture is inserted in the background in the text box. With the same text box still selected, on the Drawing Tools Format tab, we're going to click Shape Fill, and we're going to hover the mouse over Gradient. A menu of gradient presets appear. It says to click the Linear Right sample. Let's see. Just that one. Alright, so it should look like this right now. On the Drawing Tools Format tab, it tells us to click Shape Fill again, point to Gradient, more gradients. We're going to click the Color button, which is right here, and we're going to choose Dark Red Accent 2 as our color. The gradient center stop on gradient stops bar until the value in the position box reads 25. Drag the center stop, so that would be this one. So we're going to move it down to about 25. Let's see if I can get it perfectly there. Okay, so right here it should say 25 in the position. Okay. So we just added a little gradient fill to this box. We're going to go ahead and click the close in the upper right hand corner of the task pane to close it. And go ahead and click Save to save your presentation. Oh, shoot, I did the wrong one there. I shouldn't have closed out of that. Let's go back to lesson 3. We're still using this one. Okay, so on slide 2, we're going to apply texture and pattern fills to a text box. So click the text box to select it, and on the Insert tab, and drag to, okay, click on the text box button on the Insert tab. Okay, clicking on the text box button, and drag to draw a new text box to the right of the existing one, approximately 4.5 inches in length. So about over here, I'm going to, hold on, I'm going to delete that. insert text box. I'm going to draw it about right. Let's go about right here. Okay. In the new text box, we're going to type the following. Each division makes a unique and valuable contribution to the organization. It says select the new text box, and on the Drawing Tools Format tab, we're going to click Shape Fill and hover the mouse pointer over Texture, and we're going to find the papyrus texture, which is actually the first one. We're going to click on that one. It says the texture is applied to the text box. On slide 3, we're going to select the text box containing the bulleted list, and we're going to right-click the text box to activate the shortcut menu, and we're going to click Shape Format. The Format Shape task pane opens, and we're going to click Pattern Fill. So we're going to click Fill and then choose Pattern Fill. A selection of patterns appears. It says to click the light downward diagonal option in the third row, and it tells us to click the foreground button to browse for a color. Okay, and we're going to choose Brown Accent 6. I think is this one. The new fill appears in the text box. It says to click Close to close the task pane, and then we're going to save the presentation. Pause, leave the presentation open to use in the next exercise. Alright, on slide 2, we're going to drag the Each Division text box to the bottom of the slide under the other text box. Click the text box that contains a list of divisions beginning with sales, and on the Home tab, we're going to click the Columns button, and we're going to choose 2 columns. PowerPoint formats the list of items into 2 columns. The columns are tourniqueted at this point because the text box is not wide enough. Drag the right border of the text box to the right to widen it enough that 2 columns can appear side by side with neither one. There we go. And then on the Drawing Tools Format tab, in the Size group, we're going to click Shape Height, down pointing spin arrow, and we're going to decrease the height until each column contains 7 lines of text. Let's see, we'll keep, there we go. Okay, and then it says position the text box so they left align with the divisional breakdown heading. Okay, so I like to use this dotted line here to kind of gauge where I'm going. Alright, and then it says save the presentation. We'll save as in our Lesson 3 folder as Profit Analysis Boxes Final. Save, and then it says, then close the file. Alright, and then pause, leave PowerPoint open to use in the next exercise. Okay, we're going to open the TV options PowerPoint, enable our editing, and we'll save as in our Lesson 3 folder as TV options corrected. Okay. On slide 1, notice the word satellite is misspelled and that a wavy red underline is present. Right-click the word satellite and a list of possible spelling corrections appears. In the list, click the correct one, which is the first option, satellite, and the correction is made. On the Review tab, we're going to click Spelling in the Proofreading group. The Spelling task pane opens, and the spelling feature finds and flags the next misspelled word. The suggestion list contains only one possible correction. We're going to go ahead and click Change to change to the correct spelling of available. The next problem identified is a repeated word no. We're going to go ahead and delete it. The next problem is a proper name value cable, which is actually a correct spelling, so we're going to click Ignore. You could also have clicked Add it to the dictionary, but because it is a made-up word for this exercise, Ignore is more appropriate. We're going to click Change to change to the correct spelling of the word cable. And a message appears that the spelling check is complete. We're going to click OK. And then it tells us to save the presentation. And we're going to leave it open to use in the next option. On slide 3, we're going to select the word costs. And on the Review tab, we're going to use the thesaurus pane. And we're going to hover over the options to change cost to a different word. And we're going to, next to charges, click the drop down arrow, and we're going to choose Insert from the menu that appears. The word cost is now changed to charges on the slide. In this thesaurus task pane, we're going to click the word prices. The display changes to show synonyms of the word prices. We're going to click the back arrow in the task pane to return to a list of synonyms for costs. Alright, so it tells us to save the presentation, and then we're going to close the file and exit PowerPoint. Okay, we are done with Lesson 3. So you should have these files in your folder to turn in on Schoology, and then you may start the knowledge assessment.